Hello, and welcome to Verbaling class on university systems. So today's class will be talking about the university and higher education system in the U.S. We'll be talking about what the advantages are of getting a college diploma, and also just more university systems in general. So I think it'll be interesting to share with you some aspects of the American higher education system, and also to hear from you about your experiences in higher education, or what kinds of ways people pursue higher education in your country. We'll be talking about public and private education systems, and going over a little bit of detail on some ways that people apply to university in the U.S., some difficulties in applying and getting into universities in the U.S., and I'll be also interested to hear your perspectives as international students, and to hear about what you think about our system, what you think about your systems in your countries, and I think it'll be cool to compare. And also I want to hear some about what your ambitions are and what you hope to be able to do with your education, and talking about what we all plan to do with our education in general and how useful it is and things like that. So it's mostly going to be a speaking class today, and hopefully we'll get in some practice. And in less than a minute, the class will be free for everyone to join. But for those of you who have purchased Verbaling Premium or have gotten reservations, that's a great way to get into the class earlier and make sure you get a spot. So for those of you who have not checked it out, I highly recommend looking at verbaling.com/premium to see how you can get reservations for classes so that you make sure you get a space. And it looks like now the class is free to be filling up. So we will begin class with introductions as usual. So my name is Libby. I'm American, but I live in France now. It's been interesting for me to see how the French system compares to the American system. And I've noticed that universities in France are different from universities in the U.S., and that's how I got the idea for this Verbaling class, because I thought it would be interesting to hear about what universities are like in a variety of countries. And so I would like you all to introduce yourselves to the class before we get started, just briefly. So you could tell me your name, what country you're in, and your favorite subject you studied or study in school. So your name, your country, and your favorite subject in school. For me, my favorite subject is physics. I really like to study physics, and eventually I will study medicine. So I guess medicine is really my favorite thing to study, but I haven't been to medical school yet. So so let's hear from you all. I would love you to introduce yourselves. So your name, your country, and your favorite subject in school. And we'll start with Abdullah. Abdullah, are you here?
Yes, hello everybody. I'm Abdullah from Egypt. I like pharmacology.
Okay, cool. Pharmacology. Nice. Thank you. And next we'll go to Adam.
Hi, how are you all? I'm Adam. I'm second year student of English, and I am from Algeria.
Okay, great. And so you enjoy studying English, I assume. since you're on Verbling.
Yeah, yeah.
Very nice.
I'm
Very
really
good. Okay, cool. Next is Amar.
Hi, my name is Ammar. I'm from Saudi Arabia, and I love computers.
All right, cool.
Computer class. I don't
Yeah,
know the.
yeah, like computer science or maybe computer engineering or something.
Yeah, I'm studying
Um,
right now computers networks.
okay.
Yeah.
Very nice. Great. Um, okay, let's see. My Hangout stopped showing me people's names for some reason. 1 minute. Okay, I can't, for some reason I can't view names now, but who can you, I don't know your name, but can you introduce yourself, the person who's next in the line?
You mean me?
Yes, you.
My name is
Sorry,
Andrew.
for some
Libby.
reason I can't view the text anymore.
Um, my name is Andrew. I'm from Russia, and my favorite subject is English. That's why I became a premium member of Verbling today.
Okay, awesome, great. Very good to hear. Thank you. All right, and next, okay, now I can see again. So we have Fanfo.
Yes, hello.
Hi, could you tell us your name, your country, and your favorite subject in school?
Okay, my name is Fanfo. I'm from Saudi Arabia, North Asia. I like basic science subjects,
Cool, great,
mainly biology.
nice. That was
Uh,
my, go
I
ahead.
love to be in a medical college or a medical school, but the GPA isn't able to. I couldn't apply for a medical school because of a high school GPA. Yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay, yeah, I understand. All right, thank you. Next we have Igor. Hi, Igor.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing well. I'm Igor. I'm from Republic of Moldova, and I don't remember to have any favorite subjects in my school. In school,
Okay, but you like English at least.
yes, of course, because I'm here.
Yes,
That's why
all
I'm
right,
here.
good. Okay, next we have Michael.
Hello,
Hi.
I'm Chinese and I'm doing my degree in Spain. So my favorite subject is introduction.
All right, cool. Thank you. And next we have Stas.
Yes. Hi, teacher. I'm from Kazakhstan. My favorite subjects was physical culture, and now my favorite subjects and languages.
Okay, good. Awesome. I love languages too, obviously. Okay, and then last we have Yusuf. I think Yusuf, you were working on some stuff with your microphone. So I guess try to maybe you're working now.
Hello.
Okay, yes, I can hear you.
Hello. Hello.
I can hear you.
we can
It's a
hear
little
you.
it's a little bit quiet, but I can hear you. For some reason, I think your speakers are turned up to a high volume. If you could turn down your volume and speak closer to your microphone, because right now I can only hear myself echoing on your computer. I'm still having trouble hearing you, but I do hear the echo. So if you have headphones, put them on. If not, just try keeping your volume turned down. And
my phone.
I think maybe your connection is bad because I can hear sometimes that you're speaking, but I can't hear your voice. I can't hear your words. Sorry. So keep working on that. Sorry, I wish I had a better suggestion, but for now, I'm not really able to hear you. Feel free to type into the verbaling classes if you want to participate that way as well. Okay, so we're going to get started with the class material. Today, I'm basically just going to talk to you about what I know about my experience in university in the U.S., and I'd like to hear about your university experiences. Maybe you have never been to university, maybe you're a current university student, or maybe you've graduated from university. So we'll be just talking about the process that starts at the very beginning with applying and ends with graduation. And we'll talk about that whole process, and I'll be interested to hear how things compare in your countries. So the university that I went to is called Stanford University. It's in California. And I'm going to tell you a little story about how I came to be there, how I chose to go there. And along the way, I'll be sure to go over the vocabulary that's related. If you have vocabulary questions while I'm telling you stories, please type them into the verbaling classes, and I'll be sure to answer your questions. So if there are words you don't understand, just send a quick little message or just stop me and ask, and I'll be happy to explain to you. So in the U.S., we have 12 years of primary education, similar, I'm sure, to a lot of your countries. We study in public school or sometimes private school for 12 years before we go to university. Can someone explain to me the difference between public school and private school? What is the difference?
You have to pay in private school, but in public it's free, or it's small amount of money, I think.
Good. And why is public school free?
Financed by government.
Yes, excellent. So public school is sponsored or financed by the government, and private school is financed by the students who go there. So students pay to go to private school. Usually their parents pay for them to go to private school. And so private school costs money, and public school generally does not. When you pay money to go to a private school or to go to school in general, we call this tuition. Tuition is the name of the money you pay to go to school. So to go to private school, you need to pay tuition, and a lot of times you pay tuition every semester. Does anyone know what a semester is? What is a semester?
3 months.
6 months.
Yeah, it's half of a school year. So there are 2 semesters in a school year. So depending on the school, it can be between 3 and 6 months, depending on the school. So actually, at my university at Stanford, we did not have semesters. We had a rare system called the quarter system, and that meant that the whole year was divided into quarters, into 4 pieces. And so our school year was actually really in 3 pieces. We had fall, winter, and spring quarters, and then summer quarter, it was our vacation. We were free. So instead of having 2 semesters in our school year, at Stanford we had 3 quarters, and then 1 quarter was free. So it's a little bit confusing because you'd think they'd call them thirds or something, but they call them quarters, and we get 1 quarter of the year off. So that's called the quarter system, and maybe 5% of universities in the U.S. use the quarter system. 95% use the semester system. That means you have 2 halves of the year that are called semesters. Okay, cool. So in the US, we finish our 12 years of primary and secondary education, and then we can apply for university. When we apply for university, we need to do a lot of different things for our application. Can you guess or tell me what are some of the things that you need for a university application in the US? What are some parts of your application that you show to universities if you want to go there?
First of all, you have to confirm your primary education, yeah, by the diploma. You got some diploma when you graduated from the primary education.
Good. So you will show the university that you have a diploma. You have a diploma and a degree, by the way, is the same thing. Diploma and degree both mean when you graduate, when you finish some school, you get a diploma or a degree. It's just a paper that says you finished, you graduated. And so usually colleges or universities will ask for your high school transcript. Does anyone know what a transcript is? What is a transcript?
It's your remark, yeah. For example, how good you was studying at school. For example, your math marks, physics marks. Yeah, am I right?
Yes, exactly.
And what you study in particular. For example, all of this description of that curriculum
of your subject.
Excellent, perfect. So your transcript shows what classes you took. It might show a short description of the classes, and it shows your grades or your marks. In the US, we usually use the word grades, but I think in England they say marks also. So yeah, I say it shows your classes and your grades. Good. So the universities will ask for your transcript, so they know your grades, and when you have all your grades put together, you have your GPA. Does anyone know what GPA stands for?
Average mark of all your notes and all your marks from all your objects that you took from your high school or high school school.
Good. So GPA stands for grade point average. It's your average grade. Yeah, and good job, Ahmed. I'm seeing you there in the chat. So you're right. It stands for grade point average. So that just shows how well you were doing in school. If you were getting really good grades, you have a high grade point average. In the U.S., we grade based on letters. I don't know if you guys do this in your countries, but we grade A, B, C, D, or F. A is the best. And F is the worst. F stands for fail. So if you get an F, you fail. But the other grades, usually A, B, and C, are passing grades. So if you get those grades, you pass. And we can also grade between 0 to 100%. And usually schools use both a percentage and a letter to show your grades. So it depends on the school. But A plus is the best grade, and an F is the worst grade. So in your high school, you get those grades, and also in university. Okay, so you want to go to university. You send them your transcript. You send them your GPA. I think, Ahmed, you might have mentioned this earlier. There's a standardized exam that everyone in the U.S. needs to take if they want to go to college. Well, actually, there's two. But there's one big standardized exam that most American students take when they want to go to college. Does anyone know what it is?
GRE, no?
The IELTS.
Close. The GRE is for graduate school, but for just regular university, for your bachelor's, it's the SAT. The SAT.
Oh, SAT.
It stands for Standardized Aptitude Test. Aptitude means skills, so it's a test that tests how good you are at stuff. Okay. And the SAT tests reading, writing, and math. It's pretty simple. And your score right now is out of 2,400 points. So you get a score, and you also send that score to your university. What other things do you need to send to a university to show them that you're a good student and you want to go there?
Letter of intention. Why you want to study there?
Good, okay. And so this is usually done, in the US it's done online. There is something called the Common Application, and that during that application you write essays. You write essays about yourself and also specifically about why you want to go to a certain school. So good, so you write essays, and the essays show that you're a good writer, and they also show that you want to go to that school.
And the letter of appraisal, it's common or it's not common to some reference?
Good. Letter of recommendation.
Yes, from our teachers.
Common, required. You need them. In the U.S., most universities require 2 or 3 letters of recommendation. Those are letters from your teachers or from your principals, maybe even from your employers or from your coaches. Some adult who has worked with you that says you will be a good candidate for that university. And
only not
so
friends or relatives. Not friends or
right, exactly. Exactly. It cannot be friends or relatives. And these people write you letters of recommendation. A related thing is references. If you write a job application, or sometimes for university applications, they'll ask for references. These are people who they could call if they wanted to, or they could ask for a letter and say, is this person good? So if I have a list of references, the university could call my references and say, hey, is Libby a good, what do you think of her? What are her strengths and things like that? So you can have a list of references, but specifically for universities, you mail them or you send them letters of recommendation from your teachers. All right, cool. I'm noticing that people are using the Google Chat, and I'm not sure if that's because you're unable to use the Verbling classes chat, but anyway, just try to use the Verbling one if you can.
No,
okay,
no,
cool.
we help you, Yusuf, to figure out.
Yeah, I noticed it was mostly for technical issues, so cool. Awesome. All right, so if you want to go to university, you send them your transcript, you send them your grades, you send them your GPA, you send them your SAT score, you send them your letters of recommendation, and you send them essays. It's a really big application. And in addition to all of that stuff, you also send them your resume. You send them a list of your activities, your extracurricular activities, and your jobs. What is an extracurricular activity? What is an extracurricular activity?
Maybe you are a member in a club or associations, maybe something like that.
Good, excellent. So extracurricular activities are activities. Go ahead.
The activities you did outside the classes, not.
Good. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, okay.
Extracurricular means outside of school. So activities you did outside of school. Maybe you were in the drama club. Maybe you were on the debate team. Maybe you played tennis. All these activities also go into your application. And then the last part of your application that's important is any awards or honors you might have gotten while you were in school. So if you got any college scholarships or special academic awards or something like that, you put that in. Also, a couple people are mentioning volunteering. That also goes on your resume. So if you volunteer in your community, that's important for universities to see that too. And so you send this whole big, package of information to each university that you want to apply to. And it's pretty much all done online now. It's all done on websites. And let's see, Ahmad asks, what kind of honors can you get in the U.S.? Sometimes organizations will give out scholarships, so the Rotary Club or community organizations will offer awards to outstanding students, and they might give them money to spend on college. So any money you spend on school is called a scholarship. So those are one type of award, but there are all kinds of awards you can get. You can get honored for various things. Okay, so let's see. Then when you're at the end of high school, you send all this stuff in, and the university considers you. And in the US, it's pretty hard to get into universities. Most universities are now private, and they have limited spots. So does anyone know about what percentage of applications are admitted to Harvard? Out of all the people who apply to Harvard University, what percentage of them get in? Does anyone know?
Perhaps 5% of.
Yeah, it's something like that. I don't know. I don't know what the exact number was last year, but it's around 5 or 6%. So out of 20 people who apply to Harvard, one person gets in. And so it's very, very difficult to be accepted. It depends on the university. Some universities accept everyone who applies, but most universities accept less than 50% of people who apply. So you need to have a good application to get into a certain school. Once you're accepted to colleges in the US, it's a very big affair where you go to visit the different schools and you see which school you would like the most. University is very important in the US because almost everywhere the students live on the campus of the university, and the social life is often contained in the campus, in the university buildings, in the dormitories. And so campus life is very important. So if you are choosing a university, it's important to choose one that where you know that you will be able to study well, but also where you will be happy as a person. So the choice of university is very big in the US, and there are a lot of different universities to choose from. So it's a very important choice for young people in the US. Let's see, Abdullah asks for some names of public universities. So we have public and private universities. Public universities in the United States are run by each individual state. So California has the California state system, where they have all of their own public universities. My state, Maine, we have our own university system, the University of Maine. And so same for each state. University of Texas, University of Florida, University of Washington. Each state has its own public universities. Some of the most famous public universities in the U.S., UCLA, that's the University of California in Los Angeles. UCSF, University of California in San Francisco. And let's see, other states that have really well-known university systems that are public are Texas. What else? Washington State, so University of Washington. And what else? So a lot of states have good public universities, and those universities are less expensive for students who live in that state. So if you live in California, you get a reduced rate to go to university in California. So if I live in California and I want to go to UCLA, University of California in Los Angeles, I pay less than if I wanted to go there from out of state. So in-state, this is called in-state tuition. In-state tuition is lower, and then out-of-state tuition is higher. This is because states want to spend their money teaching students from their own state. So California wants to educate people from California, and so they give them a reduced tuition rate, so students have to pay less to go to those schools. Okay, so I'm getting some questions in the chat. First of all, what are the cheapest states to study in? My answer is I have no idea. I do not know. Any state, any public universities are going to cost less than private universities if you live in that state. So if you live in California, it will be way less expensive for you to go to a University of California school than to go to a private school or to go to a school in a different state. I'm not exactly sure about the price difference because I didn't go to school. I paid for private school. I didn't go in my own state. But it's probably about half or 1/3 of the tuition cost. So it's a lot less. And let's see, questions about international students. So these like lower in-state tuition, this thing where if you live in California, you pay less in California, that's only true for Americans, obviously. So international students almost always need to pay the whole rate of tuition. And so international students need to pay a lot, partially because the U.S. wants to give money to Americans, to educate Americans first, and then to educate international students.
And
So-
I think because international students do not pay taxes in America. They are
Exactly.
not citizens and they do not pay taxes, fees, I don't know.
Yes, that's exactly right. America wants to help out the people who pay taxes here before educating people who do not pay taxes here.
That's not true. I don't agree with it. I don't agree with it because, for example, if you are international student and you work at the same time when you are learning, you have pay taxes anyway.
That's true. You pay income tax, but I guess what we're talking about is I don't know, like when you
For example,
live in the U.S.
if you got job in the United States and at the same time you are a student, you have to pay taxes anyway.
It's meaning that you grow in USA. So, for example, you have 20 years, you are 20 years old, you 20 years paid taxes in USA. But if you come there, you nothing. You didn't pay nothing. And that's
I
why.
mean, and that's true for any country. So I'm working here in France now. I'm working here in France now, and I'm paying taxes to France. It's not really fair because I'm not really, getting anything out of being here. But But it makes sense because when I work in France, I pay taxes to France, and when I work in the U.S., I pay taxes to the
But
U.S.
health insurance in France is free, according to the United States health insurance.
Yeah, that's true. I do qualify for health insurance.
Everyone in France can go to the hospital, free hospital and a free clinic. But in the United States, it's a very complicated issue when someone have illness of or patient with any disease.
Well, this is a very complicated issue that we can discuss in another class if you want. But yes, you're right. If you deal with all the horrible French bureaucracy, which I have not done, you can qualify. But I have not filled out all the paperwork for that. It's a nightmare. But yes, it is possible. So let's get back to the university stuff. I have a couple questions in the chat. First of all, sorry, I can't really hear you. Can you repeat that?
Okay, how about now?
Yeah,
I turn off my camera. Okay. What's different between university and college? Some people say you can apply in some subject on the college instead of the university, since college is much cheaper. Could you explain this point, please?
Yes, good question. I meant to mention this before. College and university in the U.S., we use those two words mostly interchangeably. Specifically, a college is a school that just has a bachelor's degree program. So if you go to a college, you get a bachelor's degree. If you go to a university, you can get a bachelor's degree or you can get graduate degrees. So universities basically are bigger than colleges. But when we talk about our 4-year bachelor's degree that we do at a university or a college, we can call it college or university, and we usually use them interchangeably. But if you're getting an MD, if you want to be a doctor, if you're getting a law degree, if you're getting a PhD, those all happen at universities because universities are the only schools that have graduate programs. So college is not necessarily less expensive than university. All of those state-funded schools I was talking about, they're all universities, pretty much. So they all offer bachelor's degrees and graduate degrees. So
Can we discuss more postgraduate study about the
yes,
masters and type of masters, MPhil, and so on?
yes, I would be happy to. Okay, so you apply to a university, you get in, you decide where you want to go, you go there for 4 years, and this is the process that all Americans do if they want to study in higher education. Everyone does 4 years of a bachelor's degree if they want to move on to something else. There's another option which is called an associate's degree. Does anyone know what an associate's degree is?
Multiple degree, maybe?
An associate's
If
degree?
you have 2 degrees?
Good guess. An associate's degree is actually just a 2-year diploma. So if you study at a university, a special university for 2 years, you can get an associate's degree. Associate's degrees you often get at what we call community college. These are smaller colleges where you can get only a diploma for 2 years. These are becoming less popular in the US because employers don't really find them very impressive, but you can still get an associate's degree in the US. Most people prefer to study 4 years and to get a bachelor's degree. So a bachelor's degree is 4 years of study. When we're studying for our bachelor's degree, we often call this undergraduate education. So bachelor's degree and undergraduate are the same thing. So you go to a university, you study for 4 years, you're an undergraduate, and then you get your bachelor's degree. Then you can move on to graduate study if you want to. And there are a lot of different types of graduate study. But while you're studying for your bachelor's degree, while you're an undergraduate, you choose a specialty. You choose a specialization. Does anyone know what you call that specialization that you choose for your bachelor's degree? It begins with an M.
We don't have a specialization.
Master degree. Master degree, right?
The word I'm looking for is major. So so you have a major, which means you study for 4 years doing general studies, but you major in something, which means you choose a specialty within your general studies. My major was called human biology. You can major in chemistry, you can major in English, you can major in Arabic, you can major in any big subject that you want to. And that means that you take a variety of classes, but you take more classes in your major. So when I studied human biology, I took a lot of human biology classes, but I also took physics, chemistry, math, English. I took a bunch of different subjects. And American universities purposely do this because we require a liberal arts education. That means that we want students to have a wide variety of knowledge before they move on to jobs or to further study. So getting back to the graduate school thing. Once you graduate from university,
minor?
A minor is, it's like a small major. So maybe if you take 2 years of French classes, you can have a French minor. So it's a specialty, but a smaller specialty, a smaller specialization than your major.
Just I want to ask, we don't have in our Middle East, where I studied in Jordan, we don't have a major. We have only degree in such like degree in pharmacy. We don't have major like pharmaceutical science or pharmacology or like that. I don't know what's talking about, but you have maybe a major. I studied pharmacy and my major is pharmacy. We don't have a subdivided.
Yeah, I think it might be similar because I would still say that I have a degree in human biology. I have a Bachelor of Arts in Human Biology. That's the name of my degree. But the idea is that everyone is studying everyone is studying in the same big school. So you can take classes from any other departments that you want to and any other subjects that you want to. And that's where US education is different from other countries because we specialize later than people in a lot of other countries. So I would still say I have a degree in human biology, but I took a wide variety of classes, and so it is different. It's less specialized on purpose. It's less specialized than a lot of other countries are.
Also, we take a variety of subjects in the university. We take from humanitarian section. We take from linguistic section, and we take all. But we have almost our program maybe 100. My program exactly 160 hours, credit hours. I don't know what if the people know what is the credit hour in my undergraduate degree. So we take about 103 hours in pharmacy school.
Yeah, so I think it's kind of similar to the U.S. system. Then you do a majority of your credit hours of your credits of your classes in a certain area, but you also have a lot of room to take other stuff, and we're very free to choose what other classes we want to take.
Yes, of course. We have a freedom to choose from humanitarian, linguistic, and so on. And compulsory, we have also university compulsory subjects.
Yeah, and we do too. It depends on the university. Some universities require a certain curriculum for everyone, and some don't. Mine didn't, but we had some general requirements that we needed to take. So it depends. I'm going to talk about graduate study really quickly, and then I want to take more questions from you guys. So I'm almost done with my lecturing part, and then I want to get into more discussion. So once you finish a 4-year bachelor's degree, you can go to graduate school. That's medical school, law school, business school, or you can get a master's or a PhD. A master's degree is after your bachelor's, you can study for usually about 2 more years, sometimes 1, but usually 2. 2 more years, and you can get a special degree in a certain area. So I have friends that are getting a master's degree in computer science. That just means that you spend 2 additional years specializing in something. And a master's degree is sort of a way of saying that you're really good at that one thing. If you're really, if you're studying communications and you're really good at it, you eventually can study for 2 extra years and get your master's degree. So it's important to have a master's degree sometimes because it shows that you're very knowledgeable about a certain subject. The other graduate degree, a PhD, is it's a doctorate. So it's a graduate degree, typically in research-based something. So you can get a PhD doing research in a wide variety of areas. You can get a PhD in chemistry. You can get a PhD in English. You can get a PhD in European history. So I'm not exactly sure. PhDs are a couple more years of school and then several years of research. And PhDs, you typically have to write a really long thesis, a really long paper, basically a book, about your research. So a master's is 2 years of extra study. A PhD is more than a master's. It's a doctorate, and so you need to do more years of research. When I say doctorate, that's referring to actually several types of graduate study. PhD is a doctorate. A JD is a doctorate that you get if you want to be a lawyer. So for law school, you get a doctorate, JD. For medical school, you get an MD, which is also a doctorate. Let's see. For business school, I actually think business school is just a master's degree. So you can get an MBA, a master's in business administration. So those are different graduate degrees that you can get after you finish university. So I want to hear your questions. What questions do you have about what I've told you about the system? Because that's basically it.
How much costs your tuition at your university?
Good question. Good question.
Depends on the university.
Depends on the university.
You're going to take,
Your tuition, Libby.
My tuition was about $53,000 per year.
Cool.
Yeah. So for Stanford, I paid about I paid over $200,000 for my tuition, and so it's very, very, very expensive. But if you go to a public university, a state university, you can pay maybe $10,000 a year, maybe less. It depends on where you go.
And to afford such tuition, you have to take a loan or something. Someone give help you, sponsors, or what is the?
Yeah, so people choose different solutions. Sometimes people take out loans, so that's when you borrow money from the bank. People take out loans to pay for their education. Another option is financial aid. So financial aid is when the university gives you money. So Stanford gives out a lot of financial aid. I think about half of Stanford students are on financial aid. So that means the university is giving you scholarship money to help pay for your education. That financial aid typically comes from donations. Alumni, people who have been to the school before, who are previous students, who are now working, they donate money to the university that then the university then uses to give to students as financial aid. So loans, financial aid, and
teacher, you study human biology, right?
Yeah, let me finish this answer and then I'll answer your question. So loans, financial aid, and savings. That's the third option. Is when I was born, my parents started saving money for college. It's a very cultural thing in the U.S. It's very important that when you have a child, even when they're a tiny child, you start to save money for their education. So it's just something that we try to do in the U.S. And if you're lucky, your parents will have saved money, but not everyone can do that. So it depends. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, so Omar, did you have a question? Okay. Anyone else have a question?
Yes. You studied human biology, right?
Yes. Yes.
You study human biology, right? Okay. What can you do with your degree now? What can you be, a teacher or something?
Good question. So your major is important.
Like what kind of job can you do?
Yeah, so your major can be important because it can help determine what kind of job you can do afterwards. With my degree, right now, right now I'm teaching, but it's not really related to human biology. But if I wanted to get a job out of college, I could work in a hospital, but I can't work with patients. I'm not a doctor. But I could do administrative work in a hospital. I could work for nonprofits. I could work in a healthcare-related nonprofit organization. I could work for companies like Google or Facebook because they really like people with ideas. And so a lot of big companies hire people with science majors because they like the way that science majors think. And so they'll hire you to work in marketing or sales or to work in products like to create new products.
How we can get access for these sites?
Yeah.
It's a question. It's easier to say something like that, but it's harder to access to these sites like Facebook or Google Plus or.
Yes,
like
that's very true.
network.
It's very true.
Do you mind to ask you another question?
Go ahead. Yes, go ahead.
Do you mind? Okay. You spent almost 200 grand for your study. Do you think it was this worth this 100? I don't know.
Do I think it was worth
That's
it?
my question.
Yes, I think it was worth it. It's a big question in the U.S. because college is very expensive, and some people graduate from college and they still cannot get a job, and they say, "Why did I spend all that money when I don't?"
Like me.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it
I
happens all
graduated
over the
with an
world.
honors degree and I am unemployed and I have to research, and one of them will be published in paper and I don't have work.
Yeah. So especially with the economic crisis, it's hard to find a job, even for college graduates. So I think it's worth it because my plan is to go to graduate school. I want to go to medical school. And so so my undergraduate education at Stanford, it gives me the opportunity to go to a good medical school. And once I do that, I'll have a lot of job opportunities. I think that right now, if I was done with my education and I wanted to find a job, I would be a little bit frustrated. But that's not the case because I have future plans. But yes, I think it was worth it, but I don't think it's always worth it for everyone. I think some people don't really think about it, and they go and pay all the money, and they don't structure their life plan very well. And if you don't plan your future, you can become frustrated with how much money you spent on your education. That happens a lot. Yeah, good question. Okay, other questions?
Just
Yes, I
one
have
question.
one.
Yeah.
Okay, go on, Ahmed.
Go on. No problem.
Okay, Miss, let's say, for example, you want to continue or go on in a medical school, in any medical field or applied science. What path you can take to be applied in medical school?
Good question. So to go to medical school in the US, you need to have finished 4 years of university, of college in the US, and then you need to separately apply for medical school. This I have not done yet, but I'm going to do it this year. It's similar to the university application process. You have your transcript, you have your GPA, you have an exam called the MCAT, the Medical College Admissions Test, that you need to take and get a certain score. Well, you get a score, and then so you have to do a big application process, and you apply to all of the different medical schools you would like to go to, and then you see which schools accept you. Medical school applications in the U.S. are known for being really hard. It's it's even harder to get into medical school than it is to get into university. So it's a very hard process in the U.S.
What is the minimum of the GPA? The medical school. What is the minimum GPA out of 4?
Yes.
To be applied for the medical school. If you graduated from bachelor degree and you want to complete your studying in the medical school, what is the minimum average out of 4?
Are you asking what number or what
number
numbers is needed? It depends
GPA.
It depends on the medical school. I think the average for Harvard Medical School is like a 3.6 or a 3.7. So I would say probably 3.7 for the top medical schools, but as low as maybe 2 point something for some other medical schools. Depends.
The bachelor degree you take is supposed to be in the US, no other certificate from the
I think the US is a little bit annoying about accepting degrees from other countries. So I'm not sure, but typically medical schools prefer that your degree has been done in the US. But I don't know. I mean, I'm sure that people come internationally and come to the US for medicine, but I'm not sure how it works exactly. That's a good question.
How many years after a bachelor degree can one to obtain the medical school? Also 4 years, 5 years, 6 years?
I think it's 4 years. It's 4 years. It might be 4 years of classes, and then at least 3 years of it's called residency.
Yeah.
And that's like sort of practicing in a hospital or practicing being a doctor without really getting paid. So it's a long process.
It's a long process, yeah.
Yeah, it's very long.
But maybe from medical to medical school, it's easier or the same process.
Yeah, medical school is a long one. Law school, I don't know how many years law school is.
Talking about law school, from medical school to another medical school. Like if someone is microbiologist and want to study medical school, if one in the field of the medical chair.
You mean? I guess I'm kind of confused. So you mean if someone studies microbiology and then they want to study medicine after? Or,
Yes.
yeah, I mean, that's definitely possible. It's.
What?
I guess I'm confused about your question.
I mean, we have a healthcare provider on the hospital. One of them is nurse, pharmacist, microbiologist.
I
and
see.
so
I
on.
see. So yeah, so
And
you
they-
don't need to be a doctor to work in a medical job.
No.
Yeah.
He want to be a doctor.
Okay.
He want to gain a new bachelor degree.
Well, you wouldn't if you wouldn't need a new bachelor's degree, but you would need a medical degree. You would need a doctorate, assuming that your bachelor's degree is already finished. But anyway, okay. Let's see. Does anyone else have any other questions? Anyone who hasn't gotten a chance to ask yet?
Excuse me. Yeah, I have a question about the Coursera. Do you know this webpage? Can I change the certificates of the Coursera to the university's quiz? So is that possible?
Good question. I'm not familiar with that particular online course provider. It depends on you'll have to check that website. Adam's saying maybe not. Coursera doesn't give you university credit, so I wouldn't be surprised. I would think that it's hard to get real university credit from online classes, but some of them, like the University of Phoenix, is an American company that offers like real college degrees online. So that's also an option. You can do that. That's possible.
Okay.
A lot of people when they're older will get a college degree online, so it's something you can do. Okay, what other questions do you guys have about universities or graduate education?
So teacher, you spent 12 years in high school, what do you call it? 12 years was in high school and mid school, and then 4 years in a college, right?
Yes. Yeah, that's right.
And then you are planning for medical school or something.
Yes, that's right. That's my
Which
plan.
makes it almost medical school 6 years. So 13, let's say 4 years for what do you call it? A major study after you finish your middle school. What do you call it? After you finish this 6 years of medical school, what do you call this study? Like for example, neurology or something.
After medical
Specializing?
school? Oh yeah. You specialize.
Specialized take 4 years. So in order to be a doctor, it almost gonna take let's say 4 and 6 and for 14 years.
Well, let's see. Because the specialization is included in medical school. So you have 4 years, let's say, of medical school plus 3 years of residency, which is when you practice. During that time, you can choose your specialty. So let's see, that's 7 years plus 4 years, so 11 years of higher education. So 12 years of normal education plus 11 years of higher education. Yeah, it's a lot, I guess. Okay, Samir asks in the chat, what percent of people who graduate high school go to college? That's a good question. I don't know. You can Google it. I have no idea. But it's not 100%. A lot of Americans don't go to college. A lot of Americans get jobs right out of high school and start working. And then Ahmed says, do I want to specialize in something after being a generalist? Yes, yeah. Some doctors stay on as primary care physicians. That means they're general doctors. But I think I want to specialize, but I don't know what I want to specialize in yet. So that remains to be seen, but we'll see. Okay, so I'm sorry that we didn't get time to talk more about the systems in your own countries. I was hoping for more time with that, but I hope you guys learned something about the American system anyway. And hopefully in a future class we can talk more about your the systems in your countries and your own education. In the meantime, please like my Facebook page, facebook.com/LibbyVerbling. You can also follow me on the Verbling website. Please keep in touch. I love questions. I love new ideas for classes. I love your feedback. So please, please feel free to communicate with me. And thank you all for being really good listeners today. And I hope you learned a little something. I've got a few classes tomorrow, so I hope to see you again soon. And thank you all very much.
Thanks a lot. Good luck.
Thank you. Bye
Thank
bye.
you very much.